Good afternoon and welcome on back here this Tuesday, April 11th, shortly after 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Great to still see Chuck with us here, as well as Steve and Sam, Elizabeth, Manuel, John, and all of us just joining us right now inside our live trading room, Ron included. Great to see Ron as well. Hello to Ron and all of us just joining us here. So should be good to go across inside our live trading room. Should be good to go back on social media, Facebook Live, LinkedIn, and all those social streams. So without further ado, let's hop right into the weeds, folks. I mean, the markets are pushing on up beautifully going into this afternoon. So, definitely hopeful to see a couple of nice runners, moving with the market, if not at greater strength. But Lucy, right? How can we not begin by going over Lucy? It's on the screen. It's the top percent gainer. So it was interesting. We read the news on this stock early in the morning. Again, Fausto's on vacation throughout this week, so I've been doing the morning meetings, in his absence, and I was looking up the news on the Lucy trade early at first, and just to pull it back up, if I could, it had to do with like their eyewear. They're an eyewear company. Innovative Eyewear is their name. And the news that they have out is they're coming out with this eyewear, these glasses that are Chat GPT enabled. They support all of the AI software, the Chat GPT and all of that. So you don't need to be an expert in knowing how that works in order to trade this stock and see it make another big run. So, either way, with that said, it led to a phenomenal pop after the open. But man, this was like the gift that kept on giving. So, one comment on this, because we talked about this a lot more in depth in our Traders Talk workshop, our weekly Q&A workshop hosted inside our live trading room each and every Tuesday morning. So we talked about it there, but briefly, the stock is a new IPO. It doesn't really have much historical data to work off of. It dropped off from $7 all the way down to sub one. But actually, on that drop off historically, looking at like the daily or the weekly, not really too many clear, concise levels to work off of. So I think that played greatly in part as to why this made such an easy move throughout the day. But how about this to hammer the point home? Because we talked about this in Traders Talk. I jumped in the trade mid Traders Talk. I told you, right? And from that point, I wasn't necessarily expecting this type of pop, but to jump in off support here at 323 to 325, myself and Felix together on a coaching call, even prior to the workshop beginning, we were calling that out as a potential support. So it led to a huge bounce, led to a break back over the opening print off of 375. And really at that point, once it rebroke above the opening print, all bets were off. So, if you leave money on this, leave money on the table for this type of trade, that's okay as long as you're taking some respectable money off the table to start. Hey, if you're not normally locking up 20, 30 cent winners and you're up 20, 30 cents and you close out, you should still feel very accomplished of yourself, regardless of what this may do later on or afterwards. So, the best thing that you could do is really kind of study this trade from head to toe and see why it's making the exact move here that it is. So for the meantime, Lucy, we'll put this back on our list in hopes of another run back up. Look to see this potentially hold support off of 470 here. If it fails to hold it here, then we might see a bit of a dip first, perhaps down towards 435, 440-ish, and then the squeeze. We'll see. It really has failed to break lower so far. So, that's something to keep in mind throughout this consolidation here. There we go. All right, so Lucy, one of actually a couple of different runners that we had from today. Markets are moving on up, but Weight Watchers, there was some news that came out on this stock early in the pre-market. I think it was Goldman Sachs, if I'm not mistaken. Ended up coming out with a buy rating for them, raised their price target to $13. I said it before, you never want to hold your breath waiting for that like rating or waiting for that price target. But if the stock could afford us a run up, we'll take it. And after the open, this led to a nice little pop, or a slingshot rather. It pulled back first, then popped afterwards. But hey, the stock is still at the highs of the day right now, so still looks pretty tempting. Hopefully, a better trade going into the close, even compared to the morning. So, Weight Watchers, I'll put back on our list here and seeing if this can make the higher high too. All right, so we had Weight Watchers, we had Lucy, and a couple others here. Which others did I want to go through? We had as well Mara, obviously. Mara made a nice little push. We were talking about this also in our Traders Talk workshop. Would have found this across the gainer side eventually, just scanning throughout this afternoon. But, it's up over 14% now. Hey, go back 24 hours ago, folks. I was extremely bullish on it in hopes of this finally proving me wrong and making the big illustrious run into the close. This was like someone like walking into the close, not like running into the close. So, that's typically what we've seen these crypto mining stocks do, if anything. Now, the reason why I'm even more bullish on a run into the close today is that it's definitely above that historical level that we were talking about from this morning off of 945, 948 or so here. So at this stage, I mean, as long as the markets don't puke, perhaps this is as good of a chance as any to get that, bigger, more illustrious, like dollar run into the close, something of that stature. Hey, if it breaks higher and makes a 5 cent move, that's not like worth our time at this point. So, it's not to be spoiled, but we know this stock could do a lot more, especially in the mornings. So if it ends up breaking higher, you'd want to see it make that larger run. That's it. So, hey, you know what? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Let's go back to back days. We'll put this back on our list and we'll see if this can make the better run now. With that, Coinbase not looking as strong right now. So, definitely not going to be as inclined to focus on Coinbase. Riot looks pretty flat here. If anything, Riot was actually up a little bit more percentage wise today compared to Mara. But Mara is showing, I don't know, it seemed like it wasn't as dead the last 15, 20 minutes there, last 10, 15 minutes at that. But yeah, what we'll do is just go from top to bottom now, and we'll see what else we could add to our watch list here. All right, BNRG. I didn't really trade this one much myself, but kind of more of a mid-afternoon pop here. Kind of came out of nowhere. Once it popped up towards 2, it pulled back, and you would have thought that would have been the end of it. But then out of nowhere, just a bigger, larger pop here over 2. Never really pulled back to that price again. Kind of just hovered above like 210, 208. Then from there moved up. It looks like this trade's done with though for right now. Weight Watchers. Again, we talked about that's already on our list. Have a good start already between Lucy, so long as that holds. Weight Watchers, obviously, here. And then Mara, we'll give that another look. I mean, not a bad start to our afternoon list, but let's see if there's anything looking like even better. BKD. This thing has just been completely flat across the afternoon. So, in terms of direction, yeah, a little tough to look for more on this if it really hasn't given it to us for what, like 2.5 hours at this point now. So let me just check the news out on this. If it's a buyout, then I'm definitely not going to follow it. So just want to check the news first. I'll write this down on our side list here for right now. Looks like provided its preliminary Q1 2023 financial expectations. That kind of sounds earnings to me. I'll put this on our side list for right now. I'll come back to it at the end, at least. Not fully committed to this one just yet. It looks really flat. So hey, KRUS Crust, nice little push right now. A little expensive, very thin on the order book. That more than anything is why I'd pass on it. RSLS, little pop and drop. You could just look at the daily chart here, or the weekly chart, looking at the larger wick here, the pop and drop back from the beginning of this year. Oftentimes these stocks tend to carry same characteristics. So popped up, failed to break higher, snapped right back down, dumping off more. ZFox here popped up earlier, but obviously done right now. It has been since the morning. EBIX, forgot about this one from yesterday, actually, right? Let me jump back to the daily chart. So you could see pop and drop back from yesterday, then today. Let me actually transition this to like a 5-minute or whatever. Like, yeah, you could see just right away since the open, just kind of popped above this peak and just ran up higher, grinded on up going into the early afternoon. It's not really trading a whole lot of volume per minute, so I'm not really particular about it for that reason, if anything. Spread's not terrible unless if it kind of opens up more here, but let's see what else we got. Cala, former runner. This stock is making a nice little move now or of recent. Just again, same deal here. Just huge spread. I'd rather the other one. The what was the EBIX there? I'll even write that down on my side list there for right now. EBIX. How about this one? TGTX. We were looking at this off of 19 going into the afternoon yesterday. Unfortunately, this pushed up a little bit early in pre-market. It never looked back once the market opened, at least. I made a subtle bounce off of 19. Is this even after 8 o'clock? Oh, it was right at 8 o'clock. How about that? The issue, though, is that it had some pretty thin volume early in pre-market. You still would have wanted this to have broken under and over, if anything, but 19 held in pre-market, led to a huge pop out the gate once the markets opened up. Right now it's trading some good volume per minute. Just had a big shake right here. So, you know what? Not fully committed, but I will come back to this at the end, like with the others on our side list. If it ends up actually holding, pushing back up again, then I'll be more inclined to follow it. Riot with Mara. We had talked about that just a moment ago. We already have Mara on our list. Don't want to get fooled 2 days in a row on that, but with the way Mara at least was looking, we'll focus at least on one of them. They kind of moved together anyway. That CLSK just a second ago, if I could zoom out on the 1 minute chart, because zoomed in it looks ugly, but zoomed out, it's still hanging in there off the highs, up over 14.5%. Perhaps more eyeballs catching on to this trade going into the better time of the day here at 3 o'clock, 3:30. It looks slow, right? Don't get me wrong. I agree with that. It's slow, but I'll put this on our main list here. It just has some larger volume out there in hopes of it moving perhaps up to 320 and then perhaps up higher towards 330 afterwards. All right, let's see what else we got here. Have another familiar name, HKD. Oh, wow. I completely missed out on this trade. Damn. I mean, normally we're not going to be as inclined to follow HKD compared to the other one. I think it was AMTD, but this one's not looking as liquid, really. At least in terms of volume traded total across the day, it's got a good book. But HKD here, I personally missed out on this entire run across the late morning. I was on coaching calls, but I wasn't really trading or following this at the time. So pushing back up, so long as it can hold over 850 here, I'll put this on our list for right now. All right. Hopefully more to come. Now, this stock, if you're unfamiliar really quickly, like as to why I was quick to put this on our list, obviously the trend up and so far trying to get back up again here, but the stock actually made a move, and this is like not a BS move or any glitch. This is true. On like consecutive days, basically the stock ran for us from like $8 all the way up to like $2,500 per share. It was sickening. At the same time, its spinoff equity AMTD made a very similar pop and drop back then too. This was basically it. The big gap up. I mean, it was more pre-market this morning, then it dumped off the following day. But again, that's where you say, hey, if the stock can make a fraction of the type of run it made back then, we'll take it. So far it's definitely doing that, but perhaps more to come so long as it could hold over 850 here. All right. Really, with the markets up right now, I don't know how much more we're going to find from the losers side here. So let's see if there's anything else looking good from the gainers. STNA, familiar name. It's up at the highs right now. Looks a little slow. So right now, I'll pass on it for the meantime. You could have said that on CLSK perhaps, but that's expectedly slow. I think that other one, STNE, has made like a better run in the past. All right, so let's hop over to the losers list here, folks. Markets are on the way up. I just got to do my job to see if there's anything just looking all right on this side. Maybe a dead cat bounce, perhaps, if it's down enough percentage-wise. Oh, I still got levels for this. I forgot from Traders Talk earlier today. That's right. All right. I don't really see too much out there in terms of like shortable stocks or stocks that are within our price range or whatnot. So, hey, let me know if there's anything else looking good, mainly on the way up, folks, moving with the market or on its own accord. Either way. Yeah, it just about wraps it up from the loser side. Honestly, this one was kind of easy for me to look at. Just typing, looking in the chat box right now. I don't see anything on social, anything inside our live trading room. Let me jump to Benzinga. The RSLS trade. We had said we'd kind of come back to that, if anything, right? It hasn't totally tanked, but now it's back under the VWAP, and it needs to kind of flip that back into support, if anything, or make a clean break over it. BNRG. This one's trying to rev back up briefly here. This has better volume out there on the order book, more of an afternoon pop that we ended up seeing. We talked about this just earlier on the gainer side. You know what? It's trying to rev back up a little bit. I don't mind kind of slipping this just on the bottom of our main list right now, BNRG. And jump back to the side list stocks here, BKD, not HKD, but BKD. If it pops, it pops. It's just very flat right now from my liking. You could say the same. I mean, EBIX, if anything, the issue on this was the liquidity, but I'll keep this on our side list here. And then TGTX, just pretty wacky. So I'll pass on this one altogether. All right, last one I think we had said was RSLS, right? So this one actually is still kind of holding right now. It just needs to get back over the VWAP, get back over 350, that is, and I'll slip it on too. All right, so in total, we got 2, 4, 6, 7 stocks to work with, folks, going into the market close. And again, let me know if there's anything else. Otherwise, I'll type my email address here in the chat board right now early for all of us on social media, Facebook Live, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube. Feel free to shoot me a quick email if there's any questions or trades that you'd like to go over with me. Josh at ctutrading.com. We just concluded our weekly workshop Traders Talk done inside our live trading room. So for any of our students and members there, like Ryan or Felix or John or Ron, I mean, you folks know, I ended up going over a lot of different trades from earlier. So you could actually catch the recording of that on the student dashboard later this afternoon. Even if you didn't attend live, if you want to join our live trading room, that is, you could actually get that recording once you sign up. All right. But otherwise, though, for all of us inside the live trading room, hey, Rich will be on the mic taking you into the close from 3 to 4 o'clock. I'll be in the chat board up until 3:30. Got a coaching call with one of our students, Mark, and we'll try and follow up on one of these runners here, whether it be Lucy or Mara or Weight Watchers or any of these others that we have here so far. Start and stick with the list, folks. That is the best advice that I could give you, at least so far here. So best of luck trading going into the market close. Let's see what we can get here. Take care.